Give you some solid business advice. We're going to go back today. We're going to go back 25 years. Come on in. Actually, let me clip this. Let me grab a sip of coffee. It's going to get heavy today. I'm going to stay off the failures I've had because I've had many. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. When I made my first multiple seven figures at 24 years old, I tell you guys, I'm going to share with you guys nine strategies that allowed me to create a business from scratch online back in the 2000 from scratch. Yes, it was dial-up. What I've done to create a business and from scratch and within 2 years, 2.5 years, almost 3 years, sell it for multiple seven figures. Would you guys like to know that? The reason I'd like to bring this up today is because I'm realizing something lately in the new online digital world we're in of online marketing and personal branding, that a lot of my past successes apply. What do I mean by that? Come on in, guys. This will be really good, actually. The topic today is the 9 strategies that I used back when I was in at 24 years old. Yeah, 22 to 24 was the period. 25 years ago. The 9 strategies that I used to create an online business. Yes, it was dial-up back then. An online.com business that sold for multiple seven figures. Would you like to know those 9 strategies? Put it in the chat. Where are you guys from? Give me a 1 if you're live. Give me a 2 if it's a replay. I don't even do that stuff. I'm trying to learn off all these online leaders. Okay, well, we're going to start here. It's going to get a little raw in the beginning, and then we're going to go right into the 9 strategies that I used. And the reason I think they're important is because as I dig into this pea brain of mine, being in this online space now, I'm finding that a lot of my skills, I'm revisiting them, and I'm like, holy cannoli. If I really dig into my knowledge, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill it. These guys, move on over. Move on over, Ty, Grant, Gary. I'm coming. Just happy. I'm happy to share these with you guys because I won't bore you with the failures, but I'll tell you this right now. I sold a company called dreamcandle.com. And the reason I'm saying this is because we're not going to go into those lessons learned. Make a long story short, Mark, I sold it for multiple seven figures to a large company. I could say the name. Well, we'll get into that in a sec. Maybe, maybe not. It's not that important. I sold the company for several million, and I didn't tell that many people because I was embarrassed, because I spent several $1 million on partying, cars, girls, alcohol and drugs, and party life. The first year, I specifically remember, I spent 742 grand in 1 year. You guys think that's hard to do? It's not hard to do when you party at all. My budget was about 3 grand a day. I tried to keep it at 3 grand a day. I partied that year about, from what I can recollect, because I was half in the bag all the time, 250 days about of the year. So I was partying every night, pretty much, unless I had to sleep. 3 grand a day on those 250 days, you got 750 grand right there. So I spent 742 grand my first year, and within 3 years, several million were gone. Okay, there you go. So I was embarrassed about it. Some of you that know me from like the past, you may remember I was working on this little ditty called dreamcandle.com. That's the company. That was the first time I've ever been exposed. I've ever had several million in my bank account. I've done that several times over the years since then. And yeah, I've lost it every single time. Pretty much. I hang on to certain things. This is not about that. This is about what did I do? What are the 9 strategies I used to be an unlikely hero 25 years ago, over 20 years ago, and sell a company, create a company online when it was dial-up from scratch for several $million. Okay, would you guys like to know that? I asked you 3 times already. I have notes. They're sloppy because it's all in my mind. So, here we go. I'm going to share these with you because they still all apply. If you want to make money from home, if you want to start your own business, how these are going to apply to you, I'm going to say, I was like using my memory jogger, thinking back and thinking, holy crap, I could use all of these now. With the technology we have today and the knowledge I have today about online marketing and personal branding, I wouldn't have sold this for a couple of $1 million. This would have been going a lot bigger, but there you have it. I'm going to tell you what I did to get there and how because I'm digging back to my old skills, I'm like, this is it. So I'm going to tell you what they are real quick. A lot of these I figured out along the way, believe me. Been an entrepreneur all my life. I've applied a lot of these in future businesses as well. I can just think off the top of my head 40 businesses I've started online. So I'm no stranger to online businesses. I was doing this stuff a long time ago. I was doing e-commerce sites. This ain't about bragging. Let's go. The business concepts. You guys ready? Number 1, I looked at the market size. Number 2, I looked at what's my online competition in this space. Number 3, I looked for a unique product. Number 4, it had to be consumable. Number 5, people had to have their budget for it. They had to be budgeted for it. It had to be something they're already spending money on, but you're replacing that. Number 6, I had to add value to the product so that I could charge a fortune for it. Number 4, I had to use my creativity to highlight the top features of the product. Number 5, I had to pivot and readjust. Number 8 is pivot and readjust. See? I had to renumber them because there's 9 important steps. And number 9, I had to train the team. Yeah, believe it or not, back then, all these concepts I used back then. So as I'm revisiting in my brain, I'm like, as I'm having challenges today, I'm just chilling out and I'm going, go back in your database, Mark. And I'm like, whoa, it's in there. I'm going to apply what I know to what I know today. And I was kind of pinching myself this morning. I'm like, I'm going to share these. So let's go into it real quick. Let's go into it one by one. Here we go. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. I haven't done that yet. I'm really excited about this one today. This is super powerful. It's powerful not only because these work and they apply to almost any niche or any product or any service. It's powerful because I did it. I did this. It's not, I didn't search on Google, what are the 9 things to go to create a business from scratch and sell it for a couple of $1 million within 3 years. And I was unexperienced at the time too. Like I said, this is the first time I've had multiple 7 figures. And really quick, I want to say this. A lot of the people that know about dreamcandle.com back then, some of you do. Who does? Does anyone here on my timeline remember that? That are my old friends? When I was grinding away, 22 years old, 23, building this thing, there was no Shopify or none of that. I had to program all this stuff. Do you guys remember that? Anyone? I'm going to check the replay after because it's kind of funny. It kind of disappeared. All of a sudden, Mark Lalonde is, what happened to that Dream Candle thing? But all of a sudden, Mark Lalonde is out all the time spending thousands of dollars. Who remembers me? Who remembers me spending like a rock star. I don't know, maybe I'm going to check the replay. I'm going to check the comments. I was living it up like a rock star. Not a good thing, by the way. I'm just saying, I've learned from that. So number one, the market size. Scented candles, folks. I won't tell you how I came up with all of how I chose. Well, this is how I chose the product. These are factors. The market size. Are people spending money on this already? The market size. What's the market size of scented candles? In the USA only. I was only selling to the USA. Yes, I am Canadian. And I'll tell you why I did this in a second here. Do you guys know what the market size, well, that's what it was. I don't know what it is today for scented candles. Not candles. Scented candles. In the USA, back in the 2000s, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, when I was doing the work, it was 3.2 billion per year. That knocked me on my ass. I was like, well, this is check number one. $3.2 billion on just scented candles just in the United States. So I'm not saying open up a candle site. I'm saying look at the market size. Are people buying this stuff already? Is there a market size is there a market for this? Are people spending money? And how much are they spending per year and where? I mean, it was 3.2 billion on scented candles alone in the USA. Market size. You may want to write these down. Okay? Look at the market size. Number two, how is the competition in the space you're about to go into? What does that look like? At the time for me, it was dial-up, right? And there wasn't that many websites selling scented candles. So that was a kind of a perfect match made in heaven right there. There was Illuminations. There was Party Light, actually. They started to make their online presence. But I was a programmer, so I was able to kind of build out better than them, believe it or not. Better than Party Light. Wix End was probably the biggest one I was looking at and studying. Yes, on dial-up. I mimicked a lot of their stuff for their shopping process. And Wix End, I don't even know what that's a long time ago. They were the people I was modeling. And there were very few scented candles being sold online compared to the market. So right there, those are two things. If you look at that, I was like, okay, check number two. Now we're talking. I think we found something here. Number three, unique product. I'm going to grab a sip of coffee. Is your product unique? Can your product be purchased anywhere else? My product was so unique to the United States. It was in Canada, but it was not in the United States, and it sure as heck was not in the United States online. The product I had was, they were called candy candles. Pillar candles, but they smelled so insane. And the flavors, you think, well, the slogan I had was, they smell so good, you're going to want to eat them. We had things like banana berry, lemon meringue, chocolate fudge, and the smell was insane. They were delectable. So, and they were they had like a sugar coating appearance. I don't know if those of you who know me, I gave them a lot as gifts. Those were not available in the United States. They weren't. I used to go through a company called Kokomo Candles in Toronto, Ottawa. Kokomo, if you're still watching, shout out to you guys from 25 years ago. They were like, what are you doing? How are you moving all this product? But I found a unique product that was not available in the States. So right now, market size, online competition. For me, it was online competition, but it should be just competition and unique product. Number three. Number four, is it consumable? Is it something that people are going to have to purchase over and over and over again? If you're selling a hoodie, if you're selling hoodies, or you're selling watches, or you're selling anything that people don't need to purchase when they're done, it's not consumable. Make sense? That's a huge factor in anything. That's how you create your residual model in anything. So is it consumable? It could be a consumable product that you eat, wellness. It could be a service that you pay a monthly fee. It could be some kind of subscription, or it could be candles. Candles are consumable. They burn, you get more if you like them. They burn, you get more. It's a beautiful thing. So far, number 4 is consumable. Number 5, are people already budgeted for it? Are they already buying candles? Are they budgeting for it? Are they already spending? I learned this when I sold pet food. I applied this to almost everything. It's hard to introduce something new to someone's life because they have to spend money that they're not already spending. If they're already spending money on something, they're going to just replace it. That's what I mean by are they budgeted for it? Does that make sense? Any candle lovers out there? What do you do? If you like candles, what do you do when your candles burn out? You replace them. If you've had candles in your home, who has candles in their home? Don't you already spend on candles? If you found a better candle that you like better, that lasts longer, that smells better, if the purpose is to smell good, if that's why you're buying them for, if you find a better one, you're already spending on it, why wouldn't you switch? Okay? Number 5 is, are people budgeted for it? Number 6, you got to add value to your product with, well, that's what it comes down to. I'm going to tell you what I did. Kind of blows my own mind, but not really. People do this. Smart business people do this. They add value. For example, if I'm going to sell a training or something today, I'm going to add bonuses. If I'm going to sell anything that other people are selling, the thing that's going to differentiate me is by adding that extra value to make it unique and more valuable. For me, what I did was I was buying the candles wholesale in big, by the crate, and they were like pillar candles. They would come like all full of, God, my condo, those of you who know, smelled like smelled delicious, but it was like the fumes would get to me, like just the scents. But that's how they came. That was off topic a bit. What I did was I packaged them in a way that was, quite frankly, it was beautiful. I got boxes made, gift boxes with the Dream Candle logo, Dream Candle in gold, kind of gold stamp. I would wrap them up in like cellophane. What did we call that back then? Like cellophane bags, individual bags. I would twist it. Yeah, I would actually, but at the time my girlfriend was helping out. She would get her friends from Algonquin College, and then we'd wrap them with raffia, like ribbon, and kind of curl it. So like you do on a Christmas gift. So yeah, I had my girlfriend and her friends were working for me. Future girlfriends, do you need a job? That's a joke. That's a joke. I'm just thinking back. The way it was packaged, it was so beautiful. Just the packaging to add that value. People who buy candles, they care about those little details. Obviously, to the tune of how much? I would buy these candles. My cost was $3.25 Canadian, which would be less than $2 US dollars per candle. I would sell them after I wrapped them up and all that stuff, made them all fancy schmancy, for $17 US. From $2 to $17 because I made them beautiful. Okay? So number 3 is add value. I dressed up my candles. Number 4 is you're going to have to use some creativity to highlight the top feature of your product. Your product has got certain features that are the best of it. It has got top features. I want you to think of one feature that makes your product stand out, the top benefit, and highlight that in a way that's so creative. You gotta let your creative juices go for this kind of stuff and think out of the box a little bit. I'll give you the example that I used, and it worked incredibly well. It separated me from, it was actually, this was one of those moments where you're like, how the heck did I think of that? Let me take another sip of coffee. I'm enjoying this. I'm reliving the moment. So the highlight of our candles, my candles, dreamcandle.com's candles back then, was the smell. That was it. You cannot demonstrate the smell on the internet. How are you going to do that? We don't have, I don't think we have, no, you can't do that. Because eventually we'll be able to smell off our mobile phones. No, you can't do that. No. I think I read an article many moons ago and it said, in the future, you'll be able to smell off websites. That never happened. That's not going to happen. I can't see that happening. My point is, the chocolate fudge scented candle was so insanely smelly in a good way. The lemon meringue was one of my favorites. The passion fruit was incredible. I mean, the list goes on. Let me think. The banana berry was crazy. The smell, once you smelt these candles, that's why our return rate of reorder was like 95%. Once people lit these suckers up, they're like, I can't get this in stores, these in stores, because I only sold to the States back then. Remember? I said unique product, not available in the US. I only sold to the US. So how am I going to highlight that? Well, what I did, don't ask me how I thought of this. I don't even know. It was like one of these synthetic imaginations or God-given strokes of genius at that moment in time. I was trying to figure out, should I chip off pieces of the other can? Like when someone would order, I wanted them to order different flavors, different products, different flavors, different scents, sorry. So at first I thought of chipping off the candle and putting here's a little sample of the banana berry in a Ziploc where they could smell it. But what I found was that by melting it, because it's got to burn to get that scent, I can't really get the full effect of it. I'm sharing with you guys what I did as far as creativity. I took a full candle, I put it in like a pot, like a forging. Sometimes I got a dirty mouth when I'm passionate. Into a pan, not a pan, a pot, stovetop pot. I melted the candle until it was liquidy. My whole condo smelled amazing. For example, the lemon meringue one. So it was liquid, and then I cut out these little business cards, like narrow business cards, and I would dip them in that and let it dry. And that recreated the scent of the candle burning. It was pretty genius, actually. So then I will put that card in a little Ziploc bag and put it in with their order and say, check out our new flavors this month, our new scents. So then when they open that Ziploc and go, oh my God, they'd go and reorder. It was crazy. So that was our top feature. That's how I communicated that to the end user, the initial customer. And this gets really powerful in a sec. This is only step number 7. So that's how I highlighted the top feature in my case. But again, the lesson is use creativity, think out of the box to highlight your top feature in a way that no one's really doing it. Number 5, oh, I love this. Pivot and readjust. This is one of the most important lessons in business, period. I have an acronym. I haven't taught on this acronym yet. It's called PRLG. I won't get into that today because I just haven't covered this ever. Maybe on a future post next week. It's super important. PRLG is the acronym, my acronym, trademarked. So PRLG. So P would be pivot, R would be readjust, L would be learn, and G would be grow. Pivot, readjust, learn, and grow. Now, I had to pivot and readjust. Let me explain what I mean by that. Really what I mean by that is accept that what you're doing is not working. Don't be romantic about your idea and say, well, I wanted to do it this way, so I'm going to stick to that way because I told everybody I would do it that way. You have to pivot a lot in business. Pivot and readjust. In my case, I was selling these candles to individual customers, individual people. Now, I was actually failing in the beginning because when I was, even at 17 bucks, when I was buying them at $2, selling them at 17, when I was selling them individually to customers, I was actually losing a bit of money. I was breaking even maybe a little bit on some months, but when I was doing this individually from Canada to the US, Canada to the US, the import taxes, there was all kinds of import-export stuff going on, and I was like basically breaking even, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work. I'm gonna have to shut the doors. People are buying them like crazy, but the more they buy, the more I seem to lose, and I was going into the hole. Don't let the potential, don't get romantic about the potential of making money. I'm not into that, by the way. I'm not into that. I don't buy that. We're going to lose money for the first 5 years. No, I need money now. If my business is not profitable on day one, a lot of business people may disagree. I'm sorry, not sorry. I need to make money now, and then I can scale that process. So in my case, I didn't get romantic about the idea. I was thinking of shutting the doors. And why did I pivot and how did I pivot? For me, this was a lesson learned in by luck. By luck. I got lucky on this one. There was a candle store that contacted me from Austin, Texas, actually. Funny I mentioned Texas. I may be moving there, just so you know. Austin, Texas, they contacted me by email at info@dreamcandle.com. And they said, we'd like to possibly buy a pallet or 1,000 candles to put in our store, our physical store. I'm like, yeah. When I made that transaction, I only had to pay one export charge, one shipping fee, I just had to pay all the money that was not part of the profit margins once, because I had half a skid. On that deal I made, oh geez, it was almost like 8,000 bucks. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not wholesaling to stores? Why am I not picking up the phone and letting stores know? Why am I not finding all the store, Yahoo back then, do a Yahoo search before Google, and look at all the candle stores and contact them. Get on the damn phone and ask them if they would like a sample. And then I just started sending samples with my little cards. And then I completely got away from one-on-one customers and just did wholesale, guys. So this is the perfect example of pivot and readjust. Pivot and readjust. Perfect example of that. Now, we're going to go into, do you guys understand? So right now I'm going to go through all 9 in a sec, but then I want to get into training the team, because at this point, all the stores were my team. They were my team. I had, before I sold the company, I was up to like 126 stores. We were making a lot of money. A lot of money. I was starting to get my girlfriend's friends to work for me, a couple of buddies, but I'm like, I got to think of where, like expanding, like getting a bigger space and that kind of stuff. And I was an amateur at all that stuff. And that's when we got the offer to buy it. And you offer a 23-year-old kid, no offense to the 23-year-olds out there, several 7 figures in cash. Yeah, I took it. I took it, obviously. Well, probably not the right decision, but who cares? What is it? Hindsight stuff. Now, pivot and readjust. You're going to have to not get romantic about your idea if you need to pivot, because sometimes it's hard. You had a vision. My vision was to deliver to individual homes the whole time, but I changed it because I pivoted, readjusted, learned, and grow. PRLG. That'll be a good blog post. And then I had to train the stores to do what I was doing on an individual. That's number 6. Train your team. Because if you're building a business, you're not going to do it alone. You will have a staff in time. You will have people working for you. Those stores were working for me. Really? I was working for them? No, they were working for me. I had to train them on how I became successful on a one-on-one basis, except I was not profitable, but now they could be profitable. So I needed their sales staff to sell the product accordingly. So I said, well, you're going to want to light a candle when the store opens, let it burn all day. You're going to sell like triple, and they sold like quintuple just by having it. People be like, So I trained them on how to do that. I trained them to take make the little dipping cards. I did all this online through Hotmail. It's pretty crazy. And the telephone. Dee, 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 dee. So train your team. So guys, I know we're 30 minutes in. I wanted to share that because, like I said, as I dig into my database of entrepreneurship, that was pretty significant how I was able to sell that company for several seven figures. And for those of you who, I don't think I said this, the reason I didn't celebrate it that much to my close friends and family back then is because I was embarrassed. Who goes through several seven figures on absolutely nothing in 3 years? It was embarrassing. But here you have it. Now everybody knows. Partied my ass off. Bad. Bad, Mark. But it did create for some good memories. What do they say? They go, if you fail, 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 when you're a great success, it'll make for a good story. Maybe one day, if you and I, whoever's watching, we sit down, you have your beer, I have my cola, we'll have a conversation, and I'll share some of those stories. Those bad times, they're not all bad times. Me, myself, and I had some fun in those party days, but they're not good. They don't serve you. Completely off track. So, I'll go through the 9 steps again, point form. If you want to get the details, just rewind this live. Rewind the video. Number 1, look at the market size. Number 2, what's your online competition look like? Number 3, is it a unique product? Number 4, is it consumable? Number 5, are people budgeted for it? Number 6, you need to add value to what already exists to up its value. Number 4, use creativity to highlight its top feature. Number 5, pivot and readjust as necessary. Don't be stuck romantically on your initial idea. Number 6, train your team properly to duplicate your efforts. There you have it. Guys, 32 minutes, a little long. Hope you got value. This is valuable stuff, guys. I'm going to sign off. Mark Lalone signing off. Have an amazing Wednesday, folks, and I'll see you all on social media.